So yeah, so we tend to want to like to do it differently. So it's just the counterintuitive thing that if you want to be heard, you first have to hear. Even if what you think is across from you is fucking crazy and like they don't deserve to be heard about this, right? Like
Or
here you got this kid who's not like saying hello to you when he walks into the room, right? Like by all adult standards and worldly standards, like that's wrong. Like he, whatever. Like he has not a leg to stand on, right? Like this is where we usually go. Like I'm not going to give him empathy for that because fuck that, right? Like that's usually where we go. But if we can get ourselves out of the way and really try to go into a place of understanding of what is going on there and start with that first, then you have a whole lot more ability to actually be heard when you step on over to this part of the dance floor,
makes
right?
sense.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So the way that that works in NVC is starting with empathy. Now, one last thing I'll say about this: if you can't
Oof.
do it, if you're like I cannot, I don't care what his needs are, just because that's just a clue that you're really over here now on the dance floor. Like
Yeah,
you
I'm on the dance floor.
you yourself need to be over here doing some things to get connected to your own what's going on for you and have a lot of clarity and have some compassion and connection with your own needs so that you have a little bit more space to be in a place of caring about needs for other. So let's just do that for a second. Right now, I think we could do what's right here, third party empathy, which is you're not going to get empathy from him right now. He's not going to care about your needs. So you're going to have to try to get some empathy from some neutral other person first. Then that hopefully will give you some space then, and then I'll show you how you would handle this and handle that. If that's okay. Can we do a little bit of that first?
Let's go.
So yeah, so what I think I'm hearing you say is that yeah, you want to be able to have a conversation with him so that you can be heard. And so yeah, and right now you're feeling kind of triggered, kind of pissed off, hurt, maybe like hurt because you when he walks into a space and he doesn't say hello to you or to others, yeah, the need is about being,
Anger. I'm angry.
yeah,
I'm not hurt. I'm angry.
they feel
I'm
very,
angry that, and it's not etiquette, and it's just rude. And you want to treat your friends and talk to your friends like, and we're your parents.
okay, so you're feeling angry and you're thinking that it's rude and you have a lot of stuff going on in your head about like you wouldn't treat your friends like that. So the need, I'm trying to help you figure out what is the need there. The need is for respect, maybe. Maybe the need is for kindness, even just like a level of kindness, um,
Courtesy.
courtesy, um, love, just yeah, like warmth. Like these are all the things you really presence, really wanting just a little bit of presence. Um, and maybe even I don't know if this is partly it too. Like, is there like concern or worry because you want to know that a person that you love, like, just has the skills to operate in the world in a way
That's
that's,
right. 100%.
yeah.
Yes.
So the need there is really ultimately for like well-being, like really, really wanting his well-being ultimately is part of it as well.
Yeah. He goes into the workforce in any part, any field, whether you fake it or not. You have some respect, some empathy, whatever.
Yeah, that there's
Communicate
presence, that there's
any
communication.
anything.
What was
Communicate
that last part?
communicate anything.
Yeah, to be able to have some communication, back and forth connection, like that there needs to be connection.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And so like when you're seeing all of that, that's, those needs are not being met, there's a level of anger, maybe.
I don't know if it's not personally, I mean, kind of, but I don't need that. It's preparing him to be in our world as a respectful, confident young man.
Yeah, so you don't necessarily, you could live without it. You would like to have it, but you could live without it.
It's like if you and Mike are sitting in the living room and he walks in the door and he just walks by you guys, haven't seen you, and just walks by you and goes to his room.
So can I ask something about that too? So I'm wondering if just check this out for a second. I'm wondering, like, if that were to happen, like partly what is going on in there is like feeling a little embarrassed because you're wanting, like, like, just, you have thoughts that, that there's a certain social standard, and just
Oh, of
wondering
course.
about
Oh, there's no doubt. There's
wondering
no
about
doubt.
like what other people might think, like, and wanting there to be like comfort for everybody, like, comfort
Sure.
for
What's the
us.
matter with your kid? Why is he so weird? How come he doesn't say hello?
Yeah,
That's pretty rude. Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So, okay, so the need around that is like you end up mourning like acceptance for him, like wanting there to be like acceptance of like how he is in life, like, and like an emotion and safety, like emotional safety too comes up.
Yeah. But you got to learn if also to play the human game.
Yeah, that there are certain, that we know that there are certain ways of being that make it easier for most people in a space. Like there are expectations, and just really getting nervous and scared around those kinds of things, and having worry around like acceptance for him ultimately.
Sure. Yes. 100%.
Yeah. So it really all comes down to like well-being, really a lot, really well-being for him ultimately.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah, like wanting him
And
to be.
it's making me not want to do anything for him right now. That's the way I'm feeling. Like, really? I'm just not your money man.
Yeah, so the other part of it is like you're wanting there to be some reciprocity, like some back and forth. Like, yeah, you do for me, I do for you. Like you wanting there to be like a back.
Well, I guess you could call it just communicating, being a little respectful. Not a lot. Hey, he sees me and his mom digging a hole and he pulls up. Hey, you guys need any help?
Mhm,
Don't just walk right by us.
mhm.
I'm just saying, as a human being, because I'm sure you wouldn't do that if that was your friends.
Yeah, so like when you're living in community with people, like wanting to make sure that everybody's pulling their weight.
Oh yeah.
When you're living in a group environment, like wanting to know that he knows and he's able to pull his weight.
Oh yeah. That. And then, I mean, the nerve of him yesterday kept hounding his mom about using her car to go with 4 kids in a brand new $70,000 vehicle to Orlando when he's got a perfectly fine Toyota for a 16-year-old kid who has a nice car. And then mom feels guilty and like, well, maybe I should give it to him. Hell no. You already told him no 12 times already. I told him no. And it's your car, but your car, your decision, but I'm not for that. I don't even have 100 miles on the car.
Yeah, so he asked to use the car. He has his own car. He's asked several times. You guys have said no. And yeah, like just feeling really angry about that, like wanting there maybe to be some appreciation and awareness.
Oh, yeah, because I was ready to take his freaking other car away. Like, here you go. When he got up this morning, that's what I would have done. Where are my keys? I don't know. Go walk to school. I don't know what to tell you. But, I'm not paying $300 and $50 a month, $350 a month for your insurance and blah, blah, blah. And you're not grateful that you have a car. Did we have a car at 16? No, we've taken the K bus. Did Teresa have a car? No, not that she was in college. And we all work for our own. So,
Yeah, so the
that's
the
partly our fault. Don't get me wrong. But when they gave him a car, I get that.
mm, yeah, so wanting there to be some appreciation too.
You
And
know, we wouldn't even gotten to that point if he just says, "Good morning, how are you guys? Hey, da da da, sit down with us." Not, hmm, hmm. And yet then he goes right in his room. You can hear him yapping and laughing with his friends and blah blah blah, whatever. Like,
mm,
just show some respect.
yeah,
I mean, he's had a girlfriend all year. Have we ever met her? Supposedly, unless she's invisible.
yeah. So I mean, I think it sounds to me like there is some hurt there around like wanting there to be connection and a little bit of back and forth kindness and like wanting to know that on some level that you guys matter.
Hey, I know. You know, and it's more so to the mom to be more respectful. I'm the stepdad, I get it. And don't get me wrong, we have a good relationship, me and Jake. I mean, we always did, but hey, now you're going to be an adult, and this kind of behavior is not going to work in society, and you will not be successful in this kind of behavior. It just won't work. It won't.
Yeah. So wanting there to be awareness of like and wanting to make sure that he knows how to play the game if need be.
Play the game.
Just at least play the game. And you would like for him to start to play the game like right now with you. Play the game.
That's right. Mhm. Just be
Mhm.
nice and considerate to people. That's it. It's not very
Yeah.
hard. It takes 2 seconds, and then you can have the world from your parents.
Yeah. So what I just heard in that is that the needs that you're really wanting. So there's something I want you to note here, okay, bro? This is really, it's important. It's a very subtle thing, but it's very different. Be nice and considerate is different than saying I have need. I have a need for kindness and I have a need for consideration.
Okay,
It's a
I like that.
it's a slight little shift,
I
right?
felt it. Yeah, I felt it.
One is what you need. The other is more a judgment about what the other, it's a judgment, what he is or he isn't, all right? When you say be nice and be considerate, he's hearing, you think I'm not nice, you think I'm not considerate. Defensiveness right there, because you did just lay a judgment on him.
Yeah, I get it. I know where you're going with that. I know you're right. Yes.
As opposed to just saying, you know what,
Wrote it down.
here's what's key. When you go to express observation, feeling, need, this is what you're doing right here. Observation, feeling, need. You can't, it's very hard for someone to argue with with the pure observation, a feeling, and a need. Okay. When you walk into the house and you don't say hello, that's not observation, right? You can, that is what is happening. That's what's happening.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah. I feel angry. I feel frustrated. You got to be real careful about what you say or your feelings, because this in the book, if you go to the book, there's a whole list of feeling words, because there's a lot of feeling words that we use that are not actual feelings, that are again judgments that get us into trouble. Because if you were going to say, I feel disrespected, that's not a feeling. That's a whole that's a judgment now that you're saying they're being. But if you think you're feeling disrespected, what are you actually feeling? I feel angry. I feel frustrated. Now you could say, I feel angry. I feel frustrated, because those are real feelings. Those are not judgments. Those are really your experience, right? Somebody can't argue with you about your experience, right? When you walk into the house and you don't say hello, I feel angry. And it has to do with consideration and respect and kindness. I have huge needs around respect and kindness and consideration. Now, you're not saying he's not being any of those things. You're just letting him know those are your needs. And I would really like for you, I would really love it if you could contribute to those needs. If you would be willing to contribute to those needs. That's very different than saying you're inconsiderate, you know, you're
Yeah.
this, you're that. These are my needs. It's not your responsibility to contribute to them, but it sure would make my life a whole lot nicer if you did. It would sure make life so much more wonderful for us in this household if you would be willing to contribute to those needs.
I like it. Okay.
That's very different than saying what you are and what you're not, right?
Yeah, by far.
And then ultimately it's a choice, right? It's a choice. Now, ideally, you use that expression of observation. I mean, and here's the other observation. You have a car that we bought you. You're asking your mom to use her $50,000 car that doesn't even have 100,000 miles on it. That's all an observation, by the way, right there. Okay. I feel very nervous about that. And I also feel pissed about that and angry because I have a need for there to be awareness and I have a need for there to be appreciation. And, you know, the way that that would show up would be that you end of conversation, you use your car and maybe you even say thank you for the fact that you have a car. That would be, you know, and that's a request. Like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to. Here's the thing. It's always got to be, there's a whole difference between a request and a demand. Like, you're just putting it out there that this would make our lives a whole lot more wonderful. You can choose to contribute to it or not. That's kind of the attitude you got to have. Like, it's not, this is not a demand because I can't ultimately make you do anything. I can't. You're another human. I can't. So I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to let you know what my needs are and some ways that you could contribute to those needs. And then ultimately, you have the choice or not. But let me just tell you, in order for him to hear all that, one deposit you can put in the bank to make that happen a little bit easier, that there's a level of openness, is there's a few things here. First, you ask before you ever even have this conversation. Hey, Jake, I really need to talk to you. Is now a good time? So right from the beginning, you're not just launching into a conversation. He might be doing whatever, you know, right from the beginning. That's called a connecting request, by the way, in NVC. You ask, you don't just launch into the conversation. So if you ask and the person says yes, guess what? Right now, you've just put a deposit in the bank. You just got one level of openness towards what you want to say, as opposed to just starting a conversation with somebody and they're like, I don't want to fucking have this conversation. I have other things to do right now, right? Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is, ideally, you start here. So what would this sound like? Okay, let's go out on a limb here. I know it's kind of hard for you right now because you're pissed, so it's hard to stay in. But like, I was trying to think of like, what are some of the needs of how old is Jake? 16?
17.
17. What are some of the needs of a 17-year-old kid in this society? What's some of the needs of when he walks in the house and he doesn't say hello? Believe it or not, he's meeting a need somehow. I don't know, like, what would it be? Is it ease, comfort, choice,
For her.
power for him? Why would he be doing that? What's the need underneath that?
I have no idea.
Well, let's
I'm
just
I don't know that because my personality is not made up that way. So
yeah. So I want you to start to try to, again, in the book, there's the feelings list and there's the needs list. Anything anybody does is always in service to a need, always. There's a need going on. So, and you don't even have to get it right. You don't have to get it right when you start down here. So yeah, hey Jake, is now a good time? Can you know, I want to talk. Say he says yes. Okay. So yeah, I'm play this out here. Okay. So yeah, when you're asking to use your mom's car instead of your car, I'm guessing maybe, I don't know, maybe you feel a little embarrassed about your car and you want, like, is it about like wanting some acceptance from your friends or like just to show up in a certain way with your friends? I'm just taking a guess. Okay.
no, too um, too squishy. Right now.
Okay. Okay. So if he, and then he'll say, no, it's too squishy. It's too small. Okay. Yeah. So when you're asking about using the car, you know, you're feeling some concern because you want there to be comfort. You see where I am on the dance floor as I'm doing this?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Yeah. So when you're asking to use the car, I'm wondering if, you're feeling concerned about this trip that you're about to take because, yeah, you want there just to be some comfort and more ease with the drive. Is that it? Am I on target with it?
Mhm.
Yeah. Anything else that you want me to know about, or you want to be heard about that?
Nope.
Yeah. And I'm guessing maybe too that, you want there to be some trust, you want it to know that there's trust that, that we would trust you with the car or something like that.
That's not true. It's just you've been driving for a year and a half, and I don't feel comfortable you taking a $50,000 brand new car that your mom.
Oh yeah, I know that's you over here. Right now, all you're doing is trying to get into his head, figure out what's going on for him, what he's thinking. So I'm saying this is me saying to him, this is me, you saying to him, yeah, I'm guessing maybe what else is coming up for you is like when in asking about being able to use the car, like you would like there to be some trust from us, me and your mom. Is that it? Do you think that maybe would be some of what's going on in his head? Like they should trust me. I'll be okay with the car.
Yeah, I'm a good driver.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you have some thoughts. Notice where I am on the dance floor. You have some thoughts that you're a really good driver. And yeah, you're feeling pretty confident and you just want there to be some trust from us. Is that it?
Yep.
Yeah. Anything else that you want to discuss about that or you want me to hear or you're thinking or you know anything around that?
No, not really.
Okay.
But
All
you
right.
guys pay for the gas, so I don't really care how many miles per gallon that I get extra.
You wouldn't say that though, right? And that's you saying that.
Right, yeah.
So like you're not going there right now.
I know, I know.
Right now you're still here, okay? Okay. Yeah. Um, okay. Yeah, and you probably wouldn't have you're probably gonna do these in two different segments, like the car thing and the walking in thing. Okay. Yeah. There's something else I wanna, I do want to respond to all of that, but before I do, there's something else that I just want to bring up. Is it okay if I bring it up right now?
Sure.
Yeah, so when you come into the house, notice I'm starting with him first, okay? When you come into the house and you don't say hello to me or your mom and you walk into your room, I'm wondering if you're just feeling maybe overwhelmed, maybe tired from your day, and you're just needing some space and some understanding and some privacy. Am I right about that? Notice I'm just taking guesses. I don't know. You don't know. But the fact that you're going there instead of going into how bad that is and how wrong that is, right? You're just leaning in to try to understand like what are his needs in doing that. Okay.
That's definitely because to me it's just plain old rude.
I get it. You have a lot of thinking around that he's rude. And when you think that he's rude, what it is there's a need there for respect and kindness. That's what you're trying to say. I have a need for respect and kindness. Saying that's rude is your judgmental way that if you say it, it's gonna get
Right.
missed, right? And
I
it's
get it.
hard for you. I hear it's really hard for you to begin to think about what the needs are there, right? But for the sake of hoping to get him to actually hear you, it would be very helpful for you to start to consider what are some of the needs. There's some needs there. It's probably just comfort, familiarity, emotional safety, like he knows he can do it. He can walk in. Like my guess is maybe it's something about like, when you're out there in the rest of the world, like you have to play the game of interaction, and it can feel very overwhelming. And I'm guessing like when you come into your house, you just want some space and you just want some ease. Is that what it is? Why you don't say hello to us? Is that what's going on? You just ask. It doesn't you don't have to be right. There's just a curiosity there. What is it? What is it? You don't need to answer that. you can move him in a direction to start to share some things about what that is.
Hard, hard.
Hard to
You
be
know, you know what goes through my brain right now?
what?
If it was your mother, you would get the shaking of the finger. Your car would be taken away for a week until you prove that you come in when you come in the house and you say hello to people and thank you to people. And guess what? I would come in the house and say thank you to people, whatever, so I can get my car back. And I've learned to play the game. Because really,
Good use that.
because I feel today, society, there are no consequences for the kids. The parents just rather smooth things over instead of.
So can I, a couple things, yeah.
Part of me.
Yeah, so there's a few things. Number one, there's no reason why you can't still be curious and try to figure this out and share and still make some decisions about not giving a car, or, you know, you still might go that route, right? I mean, you still might, but it's not necessarily about you're bad or you're wrong. It's just like these are the needs that help us to move along in the world together. And yeah, and if you choose not to contribute, then I don't have a whole lot of desire to contribute to your needs. Like, that's how it works, right?
All right, that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's not, you know, you have full choice around it, and you really do, as do I. I have full choice too. And I don't want it to be you do this and I do that at all. I'm really leaning more into here to try to figure out what is it, so that I have more understanding and maybe want to care about meeting your needs, even if you're not contributing to my needs. I have more understanding. That's all I'm trying to figure out here.
And no, I like it. I like the whole idea, but I know the answer. I don't know.
So, okay, so if he says,
That's gonna come.
okay, so if he says, which I get it, because I work with all kinds of kids that would do that, okay? Right? It's like, I don't know. Yeah, so, and if I did, I could still give empathy for this. I could still give empathy for this. So yeah, so you have no idea that if he said, I don't know. Yeah, so you want me to know that, like, you have really no idea. Like, you're completely, like, perplexed and confused about why it is that you don't say hello, and yeah, like, yeah, you don't know, and you just have no idea about why that is. That's how I would stay with that. Yeah. Anything else you want me to know about that, Jake? Nope, I don't know. Nope. Okay, so there's nothing else that you want me to know about that. All I've done right there is stay in a place of listening and openness to him. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And he also might get the point that later on.
So yeah, so now that I just said, instead of saying, don't say I don't know, interact with me, because you can't force anybody. You just say, yeah, I see you don't have any idea. You're pretty perplexed by it too. And you know, I'm guessing there's probably even a part of you that maybe feels a little sad because you'd like to have connection and you're not even clear. You don't even know why you do that kind of thing. There's probably some of that too. Take a guess, just put it out there. He might say, I don't know. Yeah, so you don't even know if that's true. I'm just taking some guesses. I have no idea either. I'm just really curious. Anything else you want to express or tell me about those two things? Nope. I could just see him. Nope, nothing. Okay. Well, I have some things that I would really like to express. Can I share some of those things with you right now? And my guess is he probably would be like, yeah, okay. Okay, so what you've just done is you've just spent a whole lot of time at least giving him the opportunity to share and for you to listen. You just did all of that. He didn't take you up on it, but you gave him the opportunity to do all of that. Okay, and you'd be willing to do it some more if he wants. But now you're going to step over to here. Yeah. So yeah, when I see you come into the house and you don't say hello to me or to your mom, I feel angry and I feel frustrated. And it has to do with, like, you know, my own needs for consideration and for respect and kindness even. Like, I really care about kindness. And yeah, and then here's something. Here's something.
I'm writing down the word kindness on my little list here. Okay.
Over here, you just said this, you just said the observation, what you're feeling, what you're needing. Here's a request most people don't get. I'm wondering what you're hearing. What you're hearing are my needs. This is really good, especially for a kid like Jake that doesn't like to talk. I'm wondering if you're hearing what my needs are. And he might say, yeah, you think I'm not being nice. You know, you think that I'm not respectful. He might say all those things. And you can say, thank you very much for I want you to know that I didn't say that. I didn't say you were respectful. I'm just letting you know what my needs are. I have a huge need for respect and consideration and kindness. That's it. And there are certain things that you can do to really help meet those needs. One very simple thing would just be to say hello or come and sit down with us for a few minutes and tell us about your day. Yeah. And then here's another connecting request right here. Here's another connecting request after you. I'm wondering, how is that for you to hear all of that? Nobody ever asks that of somebody in a moment. That's a connecting request. You just told them what you were feeling, what you were needing. You made a suggested request about how he could fill your needs. Usually we're done. You're going to do it or you're not going to do it. You know, like that's it. Okay. Instead, asking, how is that? How is it for you to hear all this? And knowing Jake, he'll probably be like, I don't know. Right. Like that's what he'll do. I don't know. Okay. And so when he says, I don't know to that, you can come right on over here. Yeah. So when you hear me share all of these things, you're feeling maybe confused, or maybe you're even feeling sad and you don't know how to explain that you're feeling sad, you know, or maybe you're feeling mad and you don't know how to explain that you're feeling mad about all of this. And you really want there to be some understanding that you're not even sure maybe how to have this kind of communication with me. Is that it? Is that what's going on for you? Just take some guesses around that. I don't know. You probably might say, I don't know in a moment like that. Yeah, you really have no idea. Really. Can I share with you a little bit about how that is for me to hear that? That's another connecting request, okay? When I hear you say, I don't know in a moment like this, I feel a number of things. Number one, I feel frustrated, but I also feel really concerned, really concerned. That's kind of the whole point here is like, I really want to know that that there's communication and that there's ability to move in the world. And I feel worried. I feel really worried. And it has to do with actually your well-being and being able to function in life. Like that, I get worried about that because yeah, I think like to me, communication is a huge need, huge need for all of us to be able to function. So I get worried when I see you do this kind of thing. It's scary for me, actually. And I'm wondering what you're hearing in all of that. That's another connecting request, right? I'm wondering what you're hearing. Yeah. I'm hearing that you need some communication, that you want to know that I know how to communicate. Yeah. How is that for you to hear? How is that for you to hear me just say that? That's another connecting because well, I don't now he might actually say something. You just said, like now he'll say, oh, well, I know how to communicate when I need to. I'm fine, right? He might say something, so then you stay over here on the empathy line. Yeah, so you're wanting me to know that you're fine and you know how to communicate, and you're wanting there to be some trust maybe around some of that. Is that it? Yeah, that's exactly it. Thanks. Okay. Yeah, so back over to here. I'm wondering what it's like. Would you be willing to say hello to your mom and I when you walk into the room, you know, or sit down and talk with us for a few minutes every day? That's what's called an action request in NVC. It's very specific what you're wanting him to do. You're saying exactly what you want. you're putting it in positive terms, not what you don't like. I don't want you to ignore us. That's not telling him what you want him to do. What you want him to do is say hello and maybe sit down for, 5 minutes and share about his day. Those are very specific, doable
Okay,
things.
so when you're dealing with a young adult, and he goes, "No, I don't want to do that."
Yeah. So when someone says no, there's a need behind the no. There's always a need there. So yeah, so you're saying that you don't want to do that. I'm guessing you're wanting to maybe have some choice. Is that it? You wanted some choice and some power in how you want to move in your world. Is that what's going on here?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm just wondering, like, you're hearing that I have this huge need for consideration and for kindness. And I'm wondering, do you have any ideas of some strategies that could be put in place to help to meet those needs?
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, you're not even sure what that could be.
Well, man, my table would be flying out the window right now.
I get it. I get it. So, and if you
I would
notice
so be going to the M&M. You know what that is?
the Marcy,
Method.
Marcy method. Well, the
And it
Marcy
worked
method,
because when I needed a correction, the Marcy method worked. That method there worked.
and it may have, it may have. It didn't work so well for me. It caused a lot of disconnection for me, ultimately.
But you still knew how to perform in life and do the right things and the right deeds and
Yes, I did.
worked for your money, blah blah blah.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure though that forcing it for anybody ultimately works. I mean,
I'm not saying yes or no, but
yeah. So, but here's the thing. So yeah, so if he were to do this, I would do like this. So when I see you do this again, and when I hear that you can't come up with any ways to meet my needs, to help meet the needs, I just want you to know I feel really angry, really, really angry in this moment. And it's all I can do not to say a lot of things that are going to be very disconnecting that are, but I care so much about connection and ultimately your well-being. And I really, but I am feeling really angry right now. And I have some thoughts of like things that I don't want to do to meet your needs. Cause to me,
that's a
there's
good
like,
one.
cause
That's a good one.
there's some things here called like, reciprocity, like being interdependent. When, I have thoughts that when you're in a living situation with people, and there's give and take. And right now I have thoughts that there's a lot of giving and a whole lot of taking just all happening on one side. And I feel
There's one. That's
uh,
hold on.
but here's the thing. You don't say there's a whole lot, you always take it as I have thoughts. Own it as your thoughts because it's not reality. He might be like, well, I give stuff, no. Anything that's your opinion, put I have thoughts in front of it because it's just your opinion. I'm having thoughts or I'm having an experience, you know, take ownership of what you're thinking and what you're experiencing. Don't lay it on him. Like, yeah, you're always giving and we're taking. Like that's not observational, by the way. That's an evaluation. Do you see the difference?
Mm-hmm.
If you say we're always giving and you're always taking, boom, right away, this is what you're gonna get. But if you say, we gave you a car, we pay for your insurance, those are observations, and and you come into the house and you don't say hello to us. Those are observations. That he's not going to say, no, that's not true. He's going to be like, yeah, that's kind of all true. Yeah. And we pay for your car, I drive you to school or whatever, you can name the observational things but make sure they're things you really do. They're not just like you're sweeping judgments of things, right? Yeah. Yesterday when you came into the house, you didn't say hello to us. Make sure you could even say yesterday. You can't, because he might say, oh, I'd say hello to you. I did that last week, you know? Yesterday, when you came in, you didn't say hello. And the day before that. And I don't remember the last time we sat down and had a meal together. Or, you know, it was last week when we had a meal together. And yeah, and I feel really upset and angry. And it has to do with kindness and consideration and appreciation. And some things that you could do to really contribute to those would be this, this, and this. That's it.
Yeah.
And don't forget to ask him, how is that for you to hear all that? Even if he says, well, I don't know, you know, you can
Right,
say,
they'll hear it. I get it. Down the
yeah,
road.
well, and he'll know that you're really caring about wanting to hear what his experience is around it. And this is not a one-way conversation. You want this to be a back and forth. Everybody has power in this conversation, right? And by using that connecting request, those two connecting requests, actually, there's four. One, can we have this conversation to begin with? That's your first connecting request, right? Can we even have this? Are you open now? That's an easy one. Which, by the way, that's one thing that you do that when you're on the phone with people, that to get in the habit of that. Hey, is this a good time to talk? That's the connecting request. You don't just dial someone and pick up and start talking, because it might not actually be a good time for them, right? That's a connecting request. Is now a good time to talk? That's one. The other one is, after you've given some empathy, hey, can I share with you what's going on with me? That's a connecting request. That's asking, can I step over here and express, right? Then when you express, the connecting request is, what are you hearing? Are you tracking what my needs are here? I'm wondering what you're hearing are my needs. So you're making sure he's actually hearing your needs. He's not hearing a judgment. He's hearing your needs, right? Boom. Okay. And then once you know he's hearing your needs, how is all of this for you to hear all of this? That's a request to get him to start to express and share what's going on for him. Those are two things we don't usually ever do in our conversation right there. What are you tracking is going on for me? I'm wondering what you're hearing are my needs. How is it for you to hear what I just shared? That allows there to be the back and the forth in the conversation.
Ooh, a lot of work.
A lot of work, yes. Yes, it is. And it's the thing none of us have ever learned any of this. So.
Right. Because most parents, it's easier to just give in to the kid to their request, and that's it. Especially
it's easier to either give in or tell them to shut the fuck up and go outside and do what I'm telling you to do. We either have those two. Those are the two ways we handle it. Either we give in, and then we do both. We give in and then we get on their case. We do both of those things, right?
Right.
Yeah. Instead of actually trying to have a real conversation about what are the needs going on for you? What are the needs going on for me? How can we make this work where your needs are being considered and my needs are being considered? You know, or if it's not going to work, just know this is nothing personal, but I need to have my needs met and this isn't working for me. And so I'm going to go over here and get my needs met in other ways. That's it. That's all there is going on here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Consequences. That's the M&M.
Well, yeah, well, that's a natural consequence, right
Yeah.
there. If you want to say, if you want to work in natural consequence, when you share what your needs are, and if he has choice and to say, and you can say you have total choice to contribute to my needs or not, really you do. But just know, like, it's a give and take thing, right? If you don't want to contribute to my needs, there's probably ways that I don't really want to contribute. It works that way. That's just a natural consequence. I'll go get my needs met in other ways. You go get your needs met in other ways. It's just how it will work. Or we can figure out, since we live all together, a ways to contribute to one another needs. That's it.
I like that. That's good. I'll use that.
Hmm.
I mean, I'll try and use it. I got a lot of stuff I need to do by Sunday.
Well, just know, here's the other thing. What I usually share in my class. Very rarely do I get the conversation right the first time. Oftentimes I screw it up. I get upset. I could always have a do-over. Hey, that did not go the way that I wanted it to. Can we try again? There's always the opportunity to have a do-over with this process.
And it's all awareness.
Huh?
It's all awareness.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all about just, if I screwed up and I have the next time I have more awareness about maybe how I could do it better, right? So key takeaways. It's always good to get some empathy for yourself before starting a conversation like this, because that gives you a little bit to get off your chest before you step in. Start with the connecting request, making sure the person's okay. Start with empathy for the other, even if they're being pretty non-responsive. You can still take guesses about their needs as they're being non-responsive. That's, if a kid does this, I'm like, to me, that's telling me they either don't know, or they need some space, or they feel embarrassed about sharing it. And I just take guesses of those things, right? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Just the fact that I'm open there and I'm not getting judgmental and I'm not automatically going and telling them how I think and feel in that moment. I'm staying here first. And then anything else you want me to know? Anything else? Do you ever see the tube of connection? Did I ever share that with you?
Not that I recall, you could have.
This will be very good, because this will be a visual that will help you to remember this. I know you're gonna like this. You saw this, I think, when I probably saw it when I was down there. All right, so this is the tube of connection, right? Between you and me, there's a space, and I'm trying to get my communication, my message through this tube and have it land on you, right? And you're trying to get your message through this tube to land on me. So this is this is one person's message, and this is the other person's message, okay? And behind every message, there's a little golden nugget, which is, no matter what I'm trying to tell you, I'm trying to tell you a need. I'm using all this other stuff, but really I'm trying to communicate a need. I'm saying you're rude, that's this stuff. But really what I'm trying to say is I need kindness. I need consideration. That's what you're really trying to say. So behind every message, there's a golden nugget, right? But what we typically do with our message in the tube of connection is we put it in, you don't ever listen to anything. You come into the house and you're so rude and you don't listen, but well, you know what? That's not true at all. I'm not rude. Sometimes you just don't have any understanding about what's going on with me. That's not true. I try to talk to you all the time and you just walk right by me. Well, that's some booty. Some people need like space from their parents and blah, blah, blah. And this is how our communications go. Nobody's message is getting through the tube. It's just a big cluster traffic jam, right? So it requires, for anybody's message to come through, it requires you to take your own message out of the tube temporarily, right? And then with NVC, you're listening for the need of the other person. So yeah, so you're wanting me to know that you need space and just really wanting some understanding. And you're just taking some needs guesses until the other person's like, yeah, that's right. Well, guess what? Now the tube's empty, right? Hey, are you open to hearing what's going on for me around that? That's a connecting request. Then you put your message in the tube and you've worked it out. You know what your OFN or your observation, your feelings and needs. So you're not saying any judgments. You're just saying, yeah, what's going on for me is I have some needs around consideration and respect. And when I see you walk in the door, I feel sad and hurt and angry. Like now you're putting it in without judgment so that even if this person hasn't had NVC, it's a little bit safer for them to hear what you have to say, right? So that's kind of the tube of connection, is when you're constantly listening for needs and you take your message out temporarily, not because you don't care about it, but because you care about it so much, you want to make sure that when you put it through the tube, it's actually going to land for the other person.
Very good.
Okay. There you go.
And I could throw the table out the window.
You what?
Then I could take my table and throw it out the window.
Yes. Well, actually, do you know? It's funny that you should say that, because when I do when you say when I throw my tape out the window, what you're saying is you're too jacked up, you need a weight. Weight stands for why am I talking? What am I thinking? Right? Like that you're over here. One of the processes that you can do in weight is this thing called self-empathy. Not that I would expect you to do it, but I want to show it to you real quick because I do this for myself. This is what I do. Okay. These are actually, they can be up here on the screen, or I have little pieces of paper. I put them down on the floor when I'm doing self-empathy. I will put these each one of these is a sheet of paper I put down on the floor. When I'm in jackal with awareness, that's the part where I get to talk all the shit I want to talk about that person in that moment. I literally will put this stuff on the floor and I'll be like, that motherfucker. I can't fucking believe that he has the nerve. Like, so there's a place for me to say all that shit, to throw that there's a place for me to throw the tape out the window. Okay. Right here. This is,
I'm very
and notice I'm away from the person. I have awareness that this is all my story. These are all my judgments. I'm just giving myself a place to say all the shit I want to say right now about this person away. And then I start to break down, okay, what's the observation? What actually happened? What am I feeling? What am I needing? What's the request? I start to separate. When we get angry, what happens is all this blurs together. We start to believe he's a little fucking unappreciative shit, right? Rather than saying, okay, what's the observation? The observation is he has to use his mom's car and he has his own car. That's the observation. And I feel angry and I need appreciation. But getting into he's a motherfucking non-appreciative, that's what that does is, number one, it just jacks up your own energy around it. Number two, it doesn't give you clarity to be able to speak from a place of what is. All of that energy comes into the conversation, right? So when you're doing self-empathy, it helps you to separate out, what are my judgments? What's the shit I'm thinking and talking about, the story that I have going on around this? What actually happened? What am I feeling? What am I needing? You know, so you're processing all of that ahead of time so that when you step in to the conversation, you've gotten all that out. You have the opportunity to say all the shit you want to say about them, but away from the person. And you know its story. And then you have a lot more clarity about what are you feeling? What are you needing? What are you asking for? Right? So there's a place for that too. If you're noticing that you're really angry, that's just your body's way of saying, I need to process this. I need more empathy because I'm not going to have a lot of clarity and there's not going to be safety for anybody when I go to have this conversation with this person. Right? So anyways, that's another piece of this whole thing.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Nothing, a sidebar, because this always takes me back to Vince, and I was always the jackal. And not knowing that he had mental illnesses and schizophrenia and all that, have you tried to use this on somebody who's really got?
Well, Marshall Rosenberg, the guy that developed this process, he was a PhD in clinical psychology. Like he developed this as a parallel system to typical therapy because he thought the problem with therapy is all the labeling. It's judgment. It's judgment again. Like it's all comes back to the way that we judge one another, right? So and he has all kinds of examples of like going to like an insane asylum where like a person's catatonic and literally just being with them without judgment, just being with them in empathy, and how that finally moved the person out of that space, right? So yes, I do believe that there's a lot more to this where it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen at all overnight. I remember reading this book from this woman where she was working with this kid that was like autistic. I can't remember what other, basically like nonverbal. She was hired to do like dance therapy with this kid, right? And she writes about how when she first started going in there and kind of imposing, because that's what we all do. We all impose what we want for this person instead of having a space of, because it's so hard. How can you be okay showing up like that in the world, especially as a parent, to be fully just present, it's near impossible to do it. It's near impossible, right? So she ended up being with this kid when she was first in with her, trying to get this kid to do the dancing and blah, blah, blah. The kid would like go berserk, you know, like throw shit all over the place, right? And finally, she just decided what she was going to do. She was just going to show up and be with the kid, however the kid wanted to be. And mind you, this kid was nonverbal, like not talking or anything. Okay, so she would just go there, and she said, "I just started being in her world." And I would sit down, and if she was rocking, I would just kind of rock and I would just be with her, be with her. And then she said, after a few weeks of doing that, I was really doubting. I was like, what the hell am I doing? I'm just coming in here, like just rocking with this kid for hours. Like, she was like, tomorrow I'm going to go in and do this. She showed up this one day, finally, and the kid was like, you know, hi, this is Catherine. Hi, Catherine. The kid was talking. And the parents started saying how ever since she started working, like they're starting to see all this behavior change in the kid, right? Because it required somebody just showing up and allowing that person to be how they were, you know?
It's
So
funny that this is a flashback for me is way back in Vincent days when I had to throw him out of the house here for not following all the rules, and he went back to his mom's, and his mom had to call me. He rolled up in the bed. He hasn't got out in 2 days. But he was depressed and a black hole, and we didn't know the schizophrenia. So I just went over to the house there. I said, I'm scared that I was going to come yell at him or something. I said, no. I just brought our baseball gloves. I go, come on, let's go to the park, and we're just going to have a catch. And we just had a catch. I didn't talk about nothing really. And he snapped out of it after that.
yeah, so can I give you some insight onto why I think that helps? um, if you take my class, well, and in my whole book, we talked about like trauma, right? And it doesn't even have to be in this lifetime. It could have been trauma that was passed down from other generations that's showing up on you now genetically, right? And
you should write a book about that.
And he probably had it honestly from both sides of his family, right? All of that. And what we know is that people that have had trauma need safety, emotional safety. So emotional safety shows up as you're okay as you are. So anytime we try to fix a person or give them advice or tell them what to do, you're basically making a judgment on that person saying something's not okay there. So that brings up a whole bunch of other emotional fear and defensiveness about how they are, right? So you know, one of the best ways to quote like help is to just be present. I had a kid, this was years ago, who I was teaching NVC to, and her mom, and the kid was having a major eating disorder, like major eating disorder. And the mother called me and she was like, you know, I don't know what to do. I'm freaking out. And I was like, well, maybe, you know, she asked if we could kind of all come together and talk. I said, so if we're going to come together and talk, all I'm going to ask you to do is listen, like really listen and listen for needs. That's it. Like, well, that's it, which I know is like the most hardest thing for a parent to do, because you get so scared, you get so nervous just listening and being present with this crazy that's now presented in front of you, right? I remember we did this up in my treehouse, and the kid was just sharing about like everything around this eating disorder, and I was just giving her empathy, reflecting, taking needs guesses. That's it. As the mother was sitting there, and my direction to her is, you are to be just present, to start to think about what her needs are. That's it. After that one session with them, the eating disorder disappeared. Done. Because all the kid really needed was to be heard. That was it. It was the strangest thing to have that experience with them. Yeah.
And listen, do me a favor too this week and call your other nephew. He's in a bad place.
I've tried reaching out to him a few times in the last.
In a bad place.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of sense that. Yeah, I reached out to him twice last week, and I tried calling him. I texted him a couple times. I tried calling him. You know, that's the other thing. Like, you can't force it. Everyone is on their own journey, unfortunately, you know, but I will try again. I'll try again. Because again, I know, you know, sometimes my thinking is like the best thing you could do is just listen to somebody when they're in that place, you know.
Yeah, I know.
That's it. That's it. So, well,
Well, thank you very much.
with it all,
Well, I'll go back over the book if we can. Some
yeah,
pages I skipped.
you what? Pages you skipped, you go back to the NVC. It's all in there, very straightforward, I think.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you have the needs and the feeling sheets. Those are really key. I can't tell you. Because if you're going to share what your feelings are, you
I remember.
got to be real careful. Because if you say, I feel like you're manipulating, you know, or I feel like you're underappreciating, those are not feelings. Those are all judgments, and he'll receive them as a judgment, you know. But if you stick with pure feelings, you'll see, like, he might not like them, but he's not going to be resistant to them because they're your feelings, you know.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good
All right.
shit.
I love you. Thank you for
Me
asking.
too. Hey, how about those no's?
No, you know what?